Hey, what's up, guys? So I've had a few more questions come in, and I thought I'd start off by answering a couple questions by John LaValle, who asked about reading lead sheets. I posted online about playing a tune called Humpty Dumpty by Chick Corea. I was in a jam session and a bass player called it, and I didn't know the tune. So that's one of the great things about having jam sessions is tunes that you've never played before get presented to you, and then it leads you into usually learning the tune, and then you have another tune in your repertoire. So John was just asking, how do you read lead sheets? If someone hands you one, what are you supposed to do? So really what you want to do is be able to just play the chords in a kind of basic way and be able to play the melody in a basic way. And from there, what you want to try to do is combine the chords with the melody, maybe, depending on how complex and how active the melody is. And as far as like how to play the chords, I mean, eventually once you learn them in the root position, like Humpty Dumpty is E flat major 7 to D major 7, G flat major 7 to F major 7. Once you learn those in their kind of basic form, then it's good to, expand on that and start playing, E flat major 7 maybe like that, and D major 7 like this, and G flat major 7 to F major 7, to be able to play the chords all over the guitar. And if the melody is kind of simple enough or not too rhythmically dense, then it is a good idea to put a chord melody together. And, the rhythmic content with the chords is really open to interpretation. I mean, this is one of the great things about playing jazz standards. It's one of the things that attracts me about learning them and playing them, is they're really open to interpretation and for you to kind of be creative with them. And so if someone hands you a lead sheet and says, here, play this, usually depending on the context, you'll want to play the melody and then go into either a solo or start playing the chords. Because if you're in a situation where, say, it's a trio, guitar, bass, and drums, then, there's a lot of responsibility put on the guitar to be able to fill it up with chords and melodies and everything. But if you're playing, say, in a situation with like a quartet with a saxophonist, then you might be playing chords. Or maybe you'll double the melody with the saxophone. So there's so many different ways to go about it. But again, it would be good to just be able to play the chords in their basic form and the melody in a basic form, and then just kind of go from there. Another question he had was about this chord here, which is an E minor 9 chord. So an E minor chord has E, G, and B in it, and by adding the note F sharp to that, you get an E minor 9. So this has E, B, F sharp, G, B, and E. So there's a couple E's and a couple E's, and or did I say that twice? A couple B's and a couple E's, and F sharp and G. So yeah, that's definitely an E minor 9 chord. And John was asking, is it a B sus2? A B sus2 would be with the B on the bottom, and say, so like B sus2 could also be B sus4. So that would be like this, or maybe like this. So a B sus2 wouldn't have the note G in it. Okay, and then Daryl Lewis asked about one of my tunes. He had a couple questions, or just, about some of the different chords that are in one of my tunes. So let me just kind of play into the section that he's asking about, just to kind of give it some context. So here's the part he was asking about. Yeah, so there's some different time signatures in there, so it might kind of seem a little different rhythmically. But the first one here is just really leading into this D flat minor 9 chord. So, and then this right here is basically, I'm thinking of it as a B flat major chord with 9, because B flat and D together makes a major third, and then C makes it a 9. So we're going D flat minor 9 to B flat major with 9, and then this is an A flat major 7 with 9. Here's the root of the chord. And then an A sharp 11 to a C minor 9. So that phrases. And then back to that A flat sharp 11. I'm just playing an A flat with 2 different Ds. So it's really just like an interval. And then this is G minor 9, or no, excuse me, just G minor. And then A flat major 7 sharp 11 to C minor 9 again. So that's... And like I said before, when I compose stuff, I think this is true for most composers, I'm not thinking about what the chords are or any of the kind of intellectual stuff. It's really just about using my ear. And then after the fact, if I have to write it out for bass and drums, especially for the bass player, then I'll get in there with the notation as far as figuring out, oh, it's this chord, it's that chord, and go from there. Okay, and then Ricky Hands asked, how long have you been playing guitar? And which things have you worked on the most to become such a genius? Well, I don't consider myself a genius, but I very much appreciate the sentiment, so thank you. But I've been playing guitar for a little over 23 years. And as far as the things that I've worked on the most, the top 2 I would probably say is time and tonalities. And, you know, many other things like technique and lots of other stuff. But if I were to have to pick, say, 2 things I've worked on the most, I would have to say time and tonalities. And yeah, so thanks again for the compliment, Ricky. And then Susan Kozel asked, what inspires you the most in the creative process? And I thought it was a really good question because it, you know, got me thinking about it, which I usually don't. And I would say it's, you know, the feeling you get when an idea emerges, when you come up with an idea, there's this moment of emotional inspiration that hits you and you feel it. And that, to me, is like a really good sign that you should keep developing the idea or get into the idea more. So to give an example, before turning on the camera, I came up with a very simple 2-chord yeah, so it's just a couple chords. It ends up being kind of like 3 chords. But just hearing that, and then I put it into my looper, which I thought I'd just go ahead and play for you guys so you can kind of hear it. So the melody. Yeah, so it just started with just these couple chords. And once I put it into the looper, I just kind of sensed something and had that feeling of inspiration, and then it kind of took off from there. So yeah, just that feeling, getting in touch with that feeling that you have, I think is a really important thing, and try to just kind of stay in that zone as long as you possibly can to ride that wave. And yeah, so thanks everyone for the questions. I thought they were all really good questions, and I look forward to answering more questions as they come in. All right, thanks guys.